Hello, guys. How are you today? I am back with another ghost story. Well, actually, another witch story. I have my little friend here, and she is going to sit here as usual and keep me company while I tell this story. Now, this happened in 1980. Now, I've already told a witch story about the house, the apartment that we was living in. This was not the Cottage Grove house. The video is named "The First Time I Tried Witchcraft," and it worked. So if you guys haven't seen that video, please check out that video, because this happened, what I'm getting ready to tell you happened in the same apartment. Now, like I said, this was in 1980. At that time, I was 13 years old, and the house was full of the same people. My oldest brother and his wife, my twin brother, my mom's adopted son and his girlfriend, and my mom, of course. Now, I know you guys may not believe me, but I started working at the age of 13 years old. I was always tall. I was fully developed as a 13-year-old. And with a little makeup, I looked a little older. So, my mom's oldest brother, his name was Uncle Junior. Well, we called him Uncle Junior because he was named after his daddy. He was the manager at a hotel. It was the Holiday Inn on Lakeshore Drive at that time. And he was manager over the night crew. Well, I needed a job where somebody needed to help my mom with paying the bills and stuff. My oldest brother, him and his wife was in school. And so the Lord blessed me with getting a job at the age of 13. Of course, I lied and said that I was 18 years old. And at that time, a lot of companies was not requesting ID for verification of age. And when I lied and told my uncle that I was 18 years old, he needed some help. There was a position open. It was a night cleaning crew, and he hired me to work there at night. I used to clean the common areas, the bar, dining room, bathroom, lobby on the first floor, and then on the second floor there was a big dining room with a turntable in the middle and a piano on top, where different guests would come up there and sit at the piano and play. If you guys grew up in that time and you know which hotel I'm talking about, give a shout out in the comment section below. But anyway, getting into the story. Because I worked the night shift, I slept all day. When I got in from work, I slept all day. And with there being so many people in the apartment, a lot of different personalities, a lot of different thoughts, a lot of different processes, a lot of different bodies, a lot of different energy, there was always hell in that house, in the apartment at one time or another. So anyway, sometimes when I would go to sleep, I would have weird dreams. And now, what I'm getting ready to tell you is a little bit strange. My mom, she was working for the Board of Education, so she would be gone all day. And my oldest brother and his wife, they would be gone half the day because they was in school, in college. So I would be the only one there, and I had to, even though I had stayed up all night long working, I had to make sure I heard them when they knocked on the door, because we was on the second floor, to be able to get up and let them in. And I was thinking to myself, how am I going to be able, I need to get some sleep. You know, they could come home on time like they usually do, or if they stop somewhere, it might be later, I don't know, and I need to get a certain amount of hours for sleep. So what I did was, I trained myself, I trained my body to fall asleep, to rest, to relax, while my mind stayed awake, so that I could hear when they knocked on the door and be able to get up, wake up, and answer. Now, don't ask me how I did that. That was a long time ago. I was practicing all types of weird stuff and weird things. I guess because I was bored, because I was curious. And that was one of the things that I practiced. Where my mind, I guess you could say my mind was still conscious while my body was at rest. And I guess between all the hell and the personalities that was brewing in the apartment, and me practicing, I guess you could call it like an outer body experience, without being deceased or in that state, it opened me up to whatever was going on in the apartment. Now, there was a lot of weird things going on in the apartment. Some of the things I'm not going to ever talk about because it was just that bad and just that weird. But between that and practicing or doing that witchcraft spell, I'm almost sure it opened a door, not for demons, but for anything else to come in, spirits and any ghosts, any other entities. So I remember one day I came in from work and I practiced the same thing that I normally practice, to be able to keep my mind conscious while my body was asleep, so that when my oldest brother and his wife came in, I could open the door for them. Well, later that night or evening, they decided to go to church, my oldest brother and his wife. So, and I can't remember where my twin brother was. I think he was across the alley visiting friends or something. And my mom's adopted son, his name was James, and his girlfriend, my first sister, her name was Lori, God rest her soul. They wasn't there at the time, so it was just my mom and I. And Of course, I let her in when she got in from work. And I laid back down and went to sleep. Well, even though it was in the summertime, and this time when I would go to sleep, I would go to sleep when my mom was there. I would fully rest, including my mind. So even though it was in the summertime, sometimes my body would lose track of time. When I fell fully asleep, my body would lose track of time, and sometimes I'd wake up and it seems like it should have been still daylight outside and it wasn't. So I remember waking up. It was dark. The sun had went down. My mom was in the other room. I could hear her rummaging around. But for some reason, I was frozen. I could not move. I felt this fear. I felt this fear in my heart, in my soul, all around me like no other fear I have ever felt in my life. And also at this time, we didn't have electricity. With only my mom and I working, we didn't make that much money, and together we only made enough to pay the rent and buy food. Someone else in the house was responsible for paying the electric bill, which they did not pay, and the lights was turned off. So that made it feel even darker. And the door was closed. And like I said, it was such a dreadful, dreadful feeling that came over me. And I mean, now that I'm talking about it, it's like I can see it all over again. And I wanted to call my mom to come in because I was thinking, at first I thought I was still sleeping, but then I knew I wasn't sleeping because my eyes was open, and I was able to move my eyes around and look, but I couldn't move my body. And I wanted to call for my mom to come in the room because I knew if she came in the room, whatever that was going on in that room, it would leave. But because I couldn't move, neither could I holler, scream, call, or anything. And then all of a sudden, I felt it. I felt it, whatever it was, coming toward me, coming at me. And I was laying flat in the bed on my back, and it was coming toward me at an angle. Now, I could not see what it was. Like I always tell you guys in my ghost stories, I can't see ghosts. My mom says if they want you to see them, you will see them. I guess no ghosts have ever wanted me to see them because I could not volunteer and see them, but I always knew when they were around or when something else was around. Now, I never jumped to conclusions. I would have my little test that I would do, and then I would be sure for myself. But anyway, I felt it coming toward me, and it came at an angle. And it came straight through me. And it was cold, sharp, like ice. And it went straight through me. And it felt, when it went through me, it felt as if I had fell back and splashed into some cold water. My body jolted forward a little bit. And then I knew what it was. I knew it was a witch. And I still couldn't move. And I kept thinking to myself, it's almost time for me to get up. And I know my mom always come into the room to make sure I'm up in time enough to get ready for work. All I have to do is to hold on just a little longer, just a little longer, just a little longer. And the room had changed to as cold as ice. And what seemed to be hours was only less than a minute when my mom opened the door and said it's time to get up. And then it went away. The cold went away. The ice feeling that was still circulating through my body, that went away. Everything went away. And I had never been so happy in my life to see my mom. And I told her what happened. And she said, "You know what that was, don't you?" And of course I knew what it was, but I wanted to hear what she had to say because maybe I was wrong. She said, "That was a witch." And she was telling me, she was explaining, that is the only entity that can go through you like that and make you feel the way you felt at the time that it was happening. And that was the only experience I had with that, but I knew then I could not mess around with the witchcraft anymore. Not even doing or attempting to do regular spells out of curiosity, out of research, or whatever you want to call it. I knew then I could not mess with that stuff anymore, because suppose my mom hadn't been there. Because sometimes my mom would go to church with my oldest brother and his wife. And she would always get home in time enough to wake me up. But suppose she hadn't been there. Suppose she hadn't been there at that time. I don't know what would happen. But guys, I'm telling you, that was the scariest moment of my life. I had never felt anything like what happened. Like I said, I felt it coming toward me, and it went through, all the way through my body, and it was like ice. Went all the way through my body, and my body jolted. And like I said, it felt like I was falling straight back into cold water, and the cold radiated throughout my body. But anyway, guys, I hope that, well, I'm pretty sure that won't happen again. I think I have outgrown a lot of stuff that used to happen. I grew up in the era where there was a lot of things happening to a lot of people on a regular basis. You don't hear too much about stuff like that happening now. Times are different, things are different, people are different. But during that time, there was still residue left over from years before that was lingering around in land, inside, outside the houses, inside, outside the apartments, up and down the street. You was likely to see anything if you could see. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the story. If you guys look, I know some of my ghost stories, maybe all of them, they might be weird, but guys, look, if you have ever experienced any type of weird, it doesn't have to be a ghost, a spirit, a demon, a witch, or nothing or anything like that, if you have experienced anything, if you know somebody that have experienced anything, please leave it in the comment section below. I like to hear about stuff like that. Other viewers might like to hear stuff like that. Please share. Share your experiences. Join the community and share your experiences. Okay, guys. Now, my little friend, she was not afraid this time. Just like last time, she was not afraid. She's a good girl. And she likes to be here with me when I'm telling these stories now. And of course, from now on, as long as I tell these stories, she'll always be back with me. And guys, if you like ghost stories and witch stories and all that other stuff, weird things going on, I have a lot of videos already uploaded with different stories, hauntings and everything. Hauntings, witchcraft, voodoo and hoodoo, devils and demons. Please check out the videos. If you're into that stuff, into that type of stuff, and interested in those type of videos, check out my channel. I have a playlist, and you can just go right in the playlist and pick out anything you'd like to see, or you could just go through the playlist and watch all of the videos. And please, guys, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button. I would really, really appreciate it, guys. And like I say at the end of every video, let's work together to live better. And always, always, thank you for watching.